Hey, welcome. So you want to make visuals that really, truly connect with people? You're in exactly the right place. This is your 5-minute crash course on the fundamentals that are going to completely transform how you tell stories visually. Let's get right into it.
You've been there, right? You make something, you look at it, and you just think, it's missing something. It just doesn't have that pop, that professional feel. Well, that feeling, it almost always comes down to a few basic principles. And we're about to walk through them so you can fix that feeling for good.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with composition. That's the skeleton of your design. Then we'll dive into photography and its emotional power. After that, it's all about guiding the eye with hierarchy, and we'll wrap it up with the finishing touches, color and cropping.
Okay, first up, composition. I want you to think of this as the blueprint, the literal skeleton for your design. It's the one thing you absolutely have to get right, because it's what holds everything else together and makes it all make sense.
So what is it really? Well, in simple terms, composition is just the art of putting stuff where you want it, on purpose. It's how you tell someone's eyes where to go, what to look at first, and what journey to take. It's basically storytelling, just without using any words.
And one of the most classic tools for this is the rule of thirds. Just imagine a tic-tac-toe grid right on top of this image. See how that main tree isn't smacked right in the middle? It's pushed off to the side, along one of those lines. Putting your key elements on those lines, or even better, where they cross, just makes everything feel so much more dynamic and natural. And please, please do not be afraid of what looks like empty space. White space is one of the most powerful tools you have. It gives your message room to breathe, it cuts through the clutter, and makes everything feel clean and confident instead of all cramped and chaotic.
And the last piece of composition for today? Alignment. If you want a dead simple trick to make your designs look instantly more professional, this is it. Use an invisible grid. Line things up. It just creates this immediate sense of order and care. It tells your viewer, hey, someone who knew what they were doing made this.
All right, let's switch gears to photography. A picture is never, ever just a space filler. Think of it as the emotional engine of your design. It's the thing that hits you right in the gut, making you feel something before you've even read a single word.
And this is a perfect example of how much the camera angle matters. When you shoot from down low, your subject looks powerful, huge, almost godlike. But just change that angle, shoot from up high, and suddenly that same subject feels way more friendly, accessible, or even vulnerable. Total game changer. The same thing goes for balance. Look at the left. Perfect symmetry. It feels formal, stable, very calm. But look to the right. Asymmetrical balance, where maybe a big thing is balanced by a few smaller things, creates this visual tension and energy. It just feels more modern, more dynamic. Okay, so we've got our structure, we've got our emotion. But how do we make sure people see the most important thing first? That's where visual hierarchy comes in. It's basically the traffic cop for your viewers' eyes, telling them exactly where to go. This slide right here is the perfect demo. I know exactly where your eyes went first, right? To that huge, bold text. That's your main message. Then you probably drifted to the medium-sized text, the extra details. And finally, you noticed the little fine print. We've created a path just by changing size and weight. It's that simple. You know, color is also a massive part of this. Warm colors, like reds and oranges, they feel energetic, urgent. They literally feel like they're jumping off the page at you. But cool colors, like blues and greens, they feel calm, trustworthy. They kind of recede into the background. You can use this to your advantage to create that hierarchy.
So the main takeaway here is this. If you want something to get noticed, you need contrast, a lot of it. It doesn't matter if it's light text on a dark background or a splash of a really bright color. High contrast forces the eye to look. It makes your main point totally unmissable.
All right, let's bring it all home with the finishing touches, color and cropping. This is where you really add the personality. It's the final polish that refines the mood and sharpens the focus of the story you're telling.
When you're picking colors, think about the vibe you're going for. A monochromatic scheme, just different shades of the same color, feels really clean, minimalist, and unified. But if you want to grab someone by the eyeballs, go for complementary colors. They're opposites on the color wheel, and they create this electric, high-energy look.
And here's a pro tip for a palette that always looks balanced. The 60-30-10 rule. It's like a recipe. 60% of your design should be your main color. 30% is your secondary color. And then just a tiny 10% is your accent color. That little pop you use for things like buttons or key highlights.
Now, let's talk cropping. And listen, it's not just about making things fit in a box. It is a storytelling tool. So if your subject is looking to the right, you give them lead room on the right. Give them space to look into. Or if you want real drama, go for an extreme close-up. Focus on one tiny detail to make a big impact.
And here is a golden rule to tattoo on your brain when you're cropping photos of people. Do not cut at the joints. Seriously, cropping someone at the neck or the elbows or the knees, it just looks awkward and kind of jarring. You always want to crop between the joints, like mid-torso or mid-thigh. It looks way more natural.
So look, if you take away just one single thing today, let it be this. The goal of design isn't to add more stuff or to be fancy. The goal is to be clear. Great design is all about arranging a few things with real intention to deliver one single focused message. That's it.
And that's our crash course. You now have the fundamental tools, composition, photography, hierarchy, and color to go out and design with real purpose. So the only question I have for you is, what powerful message are you going to go out and share with your next design?